After major surgery, I discovered my life in garbage bags. My DIL's shocking truth was revealed. Jack Thompson lay on the couch, feeling every breath he took like a jagged dagger in his chest. Just weeks after major surgery, the four walls of his small home in Ohio felt like a prison. The silence was deafening, but his mind was alive, replaying moments of his life like an old film. Real family barbecues, his children's laughter, his late wife's warm embrace. They were all gone now, leaving Jack with nothing but memories and a sense of purpose that had faded like an old photograph. Now, as he stared at the attic door looming above him, an unexpected urge to confront the past wheeled him forward. He knew everything up there was a testament to his life, the good, the bad, and all the sacrifices that lay beneath the dust. Fueled by a mix of nostalgia and uncertainty, he climbed the creaky ladder, each step resonating like a drumbeat announcing the arrival of old ghosts. In the attic, sunlight streamed through a tiny window, illuminating a maze of boxes and bags stuffed haphazardly. "Let us see what you've got," he muttered, trying to shake the weight that had settled on his heart. As he tore through layers of faded wrapping, objects from yesteryears popped open, stories soaked in time. The handmade Christmas ornaments, the scuffed baseball, even the worn-out teddy bear transported Jack back to the days when his late wife, Mary, was alive and their children were young. Amidst these cherished keepsakes, Jack unearthed 2 garbage bags. He frowned, puzzled. Hadn't anyone thought to sort through the junk? With a trembling heart, he reached for them, and as he opened the first bag, a flood of memories crashed over him. There were old financial statements, bills unpaid, and letters revealing a life of silent struggle. In a moment of pure despair, his faith in the American dream wavered. Then he found them documents with Lisa's name scrawled across the top. Lisa, his daughter-in-law, had taken on the role of family after Mary's passing, giving her the appearance of loyalty. Jack's heartbeat quickened as he skimmed through the papers, his gut twisting as he realized these were plans to sell the family home, to profit from his incapacitation while he fought for his life. Betrayal pierced him deeper than any battle he faced overseas. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jack staggered back, anger twisting his insides. Family gatherings, the shared laughter and love, were they all mere facades now? As the community rallied around him, with neighbors delivering meals and checking in, Jack felt a mix of gratitude and frustration. Their kindness sparked the memories of strength and unity that had shaped his small town, but now it felt like a bittersweet reminder of what betrayal could do to family ties. The thrum of conversations over home-cooked meals echoed in his mind. Yet, with every comforting gesture, Jack grappled with the paradox of forgiveness. Could a heart fractured by betrayal still find a path back to love? With emotions swirling, he prepared to confront Lisa, to demand answers, when a sudden knock at the door sent his heart racing. Was it a visitor to lighten the weight of his burdens, or an omen of deeper secrets yet to unfold? Jack paused, the air thick with tension as he took a deep breath. The knock at the door felt like thunder, rumbling through his chest. Should he answer? Or should he hide? But as the memories weighed heavier in his thoughts, he knew he couldn't run anymore. He needed clarity, and that started with facing whatever was on the other side of that door. With reluctant resolve, he shuffled to the entrance, staring at the peeling paint that had once seemed so vibrant. He opened it slowly, heart pounding. There stood Lisa, his daughter-in-law, face pale but composed. Her eyes widened a fraction at the sight of him, a hint of surprise that flipped the last vestiges of Jack's anger into something more vulnerable concern. "Jack," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "Can we talk?" He hesitated, glancing at the attic stairs one last time, the weight of what he had discovered whispering in his mind. Yet, this was not the moment to retreat to old wounds. He stepped aside, allowing her into the dim light of the hallway, his heart pounding. "Thank you," she murmured, taking a deep breath as if trying to muster strength. I haven't seen you for a bit and I heard you were recovering. People are worried about you. Jack crossed his arms, stiffening. Worried or curious? I heard you were making plans while I was down. Her gaze faltered, casting down as if struck by his words. I need to explain. Explain? You mean your plans to sell my home? Jack's voice raised involuntarily, turning the air electric. It's my home, Lisa. Our home. My wife's home. I thought it was what you'd want, she said hesitantly. You're not using it right now. It's just sitting there. You need money for your recovery, and I just thought. Thought what? That I'd just sit here and let you take everything away. His voice cracked, raw with disbelief and hurt. That this is how you repay me for being family? Her shoulders dropped, the fight leaving her. Jack, please. I didn't mean for it to come to this. I wanted to help. The kids, they need stability, and I thought you thought. You planned without even discussing it with me? He shook his head in disbelief. You could have come to me, Lisa. Instead, you chose to keep me in the dark, to treat me like I'm already gone. Tears welled in her eyes. I didn't know how to talk about it. I didn't know if you'd be okay with anything, given everything you've been through. Jack took a step back, emotions swirling. You may think it's simple, but family isn't about just doing what you think is best without trust. He turned, feeling the weight of the world pressing deeper into him. The silence grew thick, charged with unspoken words until Lisa's shaky breath broke it. Can you forgive me? Every letter of that question hit Jack as hard as the physical pain he still felt from surgery. Forgiveness? Could he let her back in after everything? After feeling sliced open by betrayal? The thought of his late wife watching him struggle with this tore at him. Sometimes love isn't enough, Lisa, he murmured. Sometimes it comes with a price. With that, the door creaked closed, leaving Jack alone in the dim hallway. He felt the walls around him closing in again, his heart heavy. Just as he processed the weight of their confrontation, a sudden memory pierced through the warmth of family gathered around the table, laughter echoing. Would they ever find their way back to that? Did this fracture mean the end of everything? And just as he wrestled with that thought, the knock at the door echoed again, rapid and urgent, as if the universe was insisting he face another truth. Jack inhaled sharply, fear prickling his spine. What awaited him this time? Jack stood frozen for a heartbeat, the second knock jolting him out of his spiraling thoughts. This one felt more insistent, like fate pushing him towards something he wasn't ready for. He glanced back at the attic stairs, then back to the door. What if the next visitor held answers, a different perspective? With a hesitant hand, he reached for the doorknob and pulled it open. Can I come in? The voice was tentative but familiar. It was Mark, his son, standing on the other side, his face a mask of concern. Sure, come in, Jack said, stepping aside. The weight in Mark's eyes mirrored his own feelings of confusion and hurt. Mark entered slowly, hands stuffed deep in his pockets, as if he was trying to shield his heart from whatever was about to unfold. I heard Lisa was here. How did it go? Jack rubbed the back of his neck, an uncomfortable gesture revealing more than the physical strain. Not great. She wants to sell the house. Mark's brow furrowed. I didn't think she'd go that far. I thought we were all on the same page about sticking together. That's just it, Jack replied, his voice steely. She didn't even bother to talk to me. She just assumed my thoughts. Like I'm not even here. Silence filled the hallway between them, thick and unyielding. Then Mark took a step closer, his expression softening. Dad, do you think there's a chance to clear the air? To talk through it? Jack shook his head. I don't know if I can. I feel betrayed. Like she saw me as some sort of project instead of family. Mark sighed, rubbing at his temple as if trying to ease the tension there. I get it. I mean, I can't believe she didn't consult you first. But maybe. Jack interrupted, frustration bubbling over. What's the point of maybe if she goes behind my back like that? I thought family meant honesty. Family also means forgiveness, Dad, Mark countered gently, his voice almost a whisper. We all make mistakes. You know Mom would want us to find a way. The mention of his late wife struck Jack like a lightning bolt. Mom always had the warmest heart but also the sharpest tongue when it came to loyalty. Was he betraying her memory by holding on to his anger? Without realizing it, he started to pace the small space, his heartbeat racing as he considered Mark's suggestion. I don't want to push her away completely, Jack admitted, his voice thinning. I just don't know how to trust her right now. Trust takes time, Dad. But if you shut her out, there's no chance for reconciliation. Jack knew Mark was right, but trusting again felt like an insurmountable mountain. So what, I just roll over and let her decide my future. Let her take away everything I've held dear. No. Mark's voice rose, raw with emotion. You stand up for what you want. But maybe explaining why this hurts you will help her understand. She loves you, you know. Jack stopped in his tracks, the warmth of Mark's words washing over him like a balm. There was love sprinkled through the cracks of their tense history, but their recent conversations had made it difficult to see. Maybe you're right, Jack said, his voice softer now, vulnerability seeping through the cracks. But if I talk to her, I need to know where I stand first. I need a plan. Then let us craft a plan, Mark said, encouragement lighting his face. Let us confront this together. Together. The word lingered, and for the first time, Jack felt a flicker of hope. But as they both stood contemplating what was next, a small noise broke through the quiet like a soft whimper. They turned to see a small figure peeking through the hallway, his grandson, Nick, eyes wide with confusion as if he had just wandered into a storm. Grandpa? My friend said they saw Grandma fighting. Is everything okay? The question hung in the air like a weight, amplifying Jack's worries. A child's innocence reflecting his turmoil. How could he respond? Just as he opened his mouth to reply, the door creaked open again, and a figure stepped into the light. Lisa stood there, her eyes shimmering with urgency and something deeper that caught Jack off guard. What did I interrupt? She breathed quietly, as tension crackled anew. Jack's heart raced. Could this moment lead to better understanding or deepen the rift? Everything teetered on the edge of revelation. Would they find clarity or fall further apart? Jack's breath caught in his throat as he processed Lisa's unsettling presence. Her usual composure seemed to falter, revealing an underlying anxiety. How had it come to this, standing in front of each other, surrounded by family yet feeling so alone? Lisa, Jack started, trying to find the right words that would bridge the chasm between them. We were just talking about me wanting to sell the house, she finished, a tremor in her voice. I didn't come here to cause more pain. Mark stepped forward, shielding Nick with his body. Mom, we just want to understand. Why didn't you talk to Dad first? Lisa's gaze darted between them, her expression morphing from urgency to defense. I felt trapped. We've been at this crossroads for too long. The house is a heavy weight, and I think it's time to lighten it for all of us. But it's our home, Jack interjected, a mix of disbelief and hurt coloring his tone. You expect me to just let go? To walk away from everything we built? It's not just about the house, Jack. Lisa's voice rose, echoing harshly in the small space. It's about us. It's about what the house represents, our past, our struggles. I can't keep clinging to something that's weighing us down emotionally. Our family is the important part, not the walls. Jack felt his anger dissolve for a moment, giving way to confusion. So you think selling is the answer? Just like that? What about the memories? What about what it meant for our family? Nick shifted behind Mark, his small hands gripping his father's shirt tightly. Grandma, please don't go. Lisa knelt down to Nick's level, her expression softening. Honey, I'm not going anywhere. It's just things that can be replaced. Our love is what matters most, right? Mark squeezed Jack's arm, grounding him. But how did it come to this, Mom? If you wanted to talk, why run to this conclusion instead of sharing your feelings with Dad first? Tears pooled in Lisa's eyes, reflecting her own struggle. I thought it would make everything easier. I thought if I took care of it quietly, it would protect all of you. Jack studied her, feeling the world tilt on its axis. Was this really the truth? Had she thought that her underhanded move was a form of love? An attempt to shield them from heartache? The questions ping-ponged in his mind, each one more confusing than the last. Silence draped around them, thick with an unspoken tension. Jack could feel Mark's eyes on him, urging him to find a way through, to reconcile. But he felt trapped between anger and empathy, his heart tugging in both directions. Lisa, I need to understand, Jack finally said, his voice steady but soft. If we're going to have a future, we need honesty. I'm not ready to let this house go, not without talking it through. We're in this together, remember? Lisa's eyes flickered with something hurt, regret, or perhaps hope. She nodded slowly, as if searching for a lifeline. Then help me see your side of this, Jack. Show me why it matters. Mark shifted, his excitement bubbling over a touch. That's it, we'll sit down, like we used to do as a family. We talk through everything. Nick, still half hidden behind Mark, piped up. Can we have pizza too? When families talk, you should have pizza. Jack cracked a small smile for the first time, easing the tension in the room. Pizza sounds great, buddy. But just as they were finding a glimmer of resolve, the air thickened again. A shadow fell across the doorway, and they all turned to see a familiar figure making their way home. Jack's estranged brother, Sam, looking set to disrupt the fragile truce that hung in the air. Did I miss the family meeting? Sam's voice pierced through the moment like a jagged edge, filled with sarcasm and past grievances. Jack's heart sank. The very presence they had strived to keep calm was about to explode again. How would this untangle, and could they really find unity with all these layers of pain and misunderstanding? Jack felt the weight of their unresolved past crash down, the path ahead obscured. They needed answers, but were they ready to face the storm that awaited them? Sam leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, his eyes darting between the four of them. The tension turned electric. Jack could feel it prickling at the back of his neck. Sam had always been the wild card, a force that could shake the family dynamics just by stepping into a room. Well, I see the family circus is in town, Sam quipped, a sardonic smirk playing on his lips. Nice to see you all playing nice. The bitterness in his voice lingered in the air, thick and palpable. Jack stepped forward, clenching his fists. Sam, now isn't the time. Can't you see this is exactly the time? You all are pretending everything is fine while you're just sweeping the real issues under the rug, Sam countered, his gaze fixing on Jack. Mark instinctively pulled Nick back. Let us just know, Jack interrupted, his voice rising again. If we're talking about real issues, why don't you address yours? You're the one who left. You're the one who cut ties when things got tough. The siblings' history simmered just below the surface, like a pot on the verge of boiling over. Sam's expression darkened. I left because I couldn't watch you all fall apart. You think it was easy? You think I wanted to be away from family? Then why not be here now? Jack challenged, frustration simmering. You could have been part of the solution. Instead, you come back to throw daggers. Lisa's voice broke through, soft but firm. Boys, please. We're not getting anywhere like this. She looked at Sam, her eyes pleading. We need to talk as a family. We're all hurting, and the last thing we need are more divides. Sam turned to her, his resentment softening slightly. Oh, so now you want to talk. When it's convenient for you to sell the family home. Jack just couldn't take it anymore. This isn't about just the house. It's about the pain we've been trying to ignore for years, Sam. About the way we always avoid conversations that matter. A brief silence hung between them, all eyes on Sam, who shifted uncomfortably. You think I don't carry my own weight? I have my own burdens, Jack. It's not as simple as you think. Nick, sensing the rising conflict, whimpered softly. Can we just have pizza? His innocent plea hung in the air, a painful reminder of what was at stake: their family's ability to come together against an ever-expanding rift. Jack closed his eyes for a moment, wishing he could shield Nick from all of this. Look, he forced himself to say, how about we all just sit down? No interruptions. Let us just talk, and maybe we can finally clear the air. We owe it to ourselves and to Nick. Mark nodded. We need to do this, for all of us. The hurt doesn't just disappear. Sam exhaled sharply, the tension in his shoulders loosening a fraction. Fine. But I'm not making promises. It's a mess. Just like our family, Lisa added, her voice tinged with an ironic sadness. As they gathered around the worn-out table in the kitchen, setting dishes of pizza and sodas like unearthed pieces of a broken past, a strange sense of unity flickered among them. Jack took a deep breath, the air heavy with unspoken words. As they began to eat, the walls came down inch by inch, fragments of laughter cutting through the heaviness. But just as Jack felt a glimmer of hope, the phone rang, shattering the tentative peace. Who could that be? Mark said, reaching for it, curiosity mixed with concern. Jack's heart raced as Mark answered, his brow furrowing in confusion. Hello. Yes, this is he. Wait, what? We're on our way. The color drained from Mark's face. It's Grandma. She's in the hospital. A silence swallowed the room, thick with dread as reality hit them all like a cold splash of water. They weren't just dealing with their issues anymore, something much bigger was at stake. Jack felt a knot tightening in his gut. How could they possibly juggle everything now? What lay ahead felt even more daunting than before. There was no denying it now: his family was about to face an entirely new storm. What kind of impact would this have on their already fragile relationships? As they stood in the hush of the kitchen, the weight of Mark's words settled over them, chilling the moment. Grandma had always been the pillar they clung to, the glue that bound their fractured family. Jack looked around at his siblings, their faces were pale, reflecting a mix of concern and dread. Nick, oblivious to the deeper turmoil, munched on a slice of pizza, but Jack could see the worry in his young eyes. Should we go now? Sam asked, the edge in his voice sharper than before. For a brief moment, they all forgot their bickering, united by a shared anxiety for the matriarch who had always loved them unconditionally. Jack nodded. Let us grab our coats. The urgency pressed upon him like a weight, but beneath that weight was a flicker of resolve. They could no longer afford to let their differences pull them apart. Grandma needed them. They scrambled to gather their things, an awkward silence punctuated by the rustling of fabric and the hurried clinks of half-eaten plates being pushed aside like mere relics of the past. Each sibling felt the tension that loomed like storm clouds, but in that hurried movement toward the door, there was also an unspoken agreement: the time for real conversation had arrived. As they stepped outside, the evening sky exerted its cool breath, heralding the gravity of the moments ahead. The drive to the hospital felt eternal. Jack gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles whitening with anxiety. He stole glances at his siblings in the back seat. Sam's gaze was locked out the window, the lines of his jaw tense. Lisa nervously played with her hair, while Mark sat quietly, eyes downcast, lost in thoughts of what lay ahead. Arriving at the hospital, the sterile smell of antiseptics hit them like a wall. Jack's heart raced as he led the way, an invisible thread of fear snaking through him, pulling every one of them along in its wake. They approached the reception desk, and the nurse greeted them with a soft smile, but Jack saw straight through it. She was professionally sympathetic, but her eyes whispered all they didn't say. Room 224, the nurse said, an echoing reminder of what they were about to face. Jack took a deep breath, the air charged with unspoken worries, and they walked slowly down the corridor. When they reached Grandma's door, Jack paused. His heart beat loudly as he steeled himself. Behind that door was the woman who wiped their tears and cheered their victories. What if she looked frail? What if she didn't recognize them? The thought felt like a chokehold, squeezing the breath from his lungs. With a nod from Mark, he pushed the door open. The room was dim, a television flickering softly in the corner. And there, in the bed, lay Grandma, an array of tubes and wires surrounding her frail form. She looked so small. Grandma? Jack breathed, stepping forward cautiously. Grandma's eyes fluttered open, and a weak smile broke through her tired features. Relief flooded through him. They hadn't lost her yet. Jack, my dear, you're all here, she spoke softly, her voice a whisper of warmth, and it made Jack's heart swell. But the moment was quickly overshadowed by the look of sudden worry on Grandma's face as she saw Sam standing in the doorway. Sam. She breathed, and the name hung in the air like a question, filled with unspoken feelings. Before he could answer, the weight of the room shifted as Lisa suddenly burst out, "We need to talk, Grandma. About everything. About us." The words rushed like a wave crashing against a shoreline, and in that moment, a deep vulnerability tore through the air, ripe for exploration. Grandma turned her eyes toward Lisa, her expression shifting from one of sweet recognition to anticipation. "You all have so much to share." Jack felt a knot of tension reforming. This was the moment they'd all been avoiding. Could they really dive into the emotional depths now while standing on the brink of family anguish? The family dynamic hung in a fragile balance, as if everything they weren't saying threatened to topple their carefully constructed fragile peace. Just outside this room, the world kept turning, oblivious to the monumental changes swirling within this family. As Jack took a seat beside Grandma, suddenly, there was a loud knock at the door. Startled, they turned to see a doctor stepping in, urgency written all over his face. "We need to talk, too, about her condition." Jack's heart plummeted again. What now? He could sense the looming shadows of their own struggles enclosing around them once more. Would their family ever truly unite? How many storms could they weather before the dam broke? The doctor stepped into the room, his expression serious, and Jack instantly felt the air thicken. "I'm Dr. Matthews," he said, glancing at each sibling before settling his gaze on Grandma. "I want to explain her condition clearly so we can decide on the best plan moving forward." Lisa flinched at the words "plan moving forward." She had just conjured a brief moment of unity, and now the walls felt like they were closing in again. Jack reached for Grandma's hand, desperate to offer comfort, but as he squeezed her fingers, he could feel her trembling. "Grandma, you know we're here for you, right?" he said, trying to muster bravado, to hold their family together through this storm. Dr. Matthews pulled a chair up, and the siblings leaned in closer. "We had to make some critical changes during surgery. There are risks, but I believe with your support, she can recover." "Risks?" Sam echoed, the dread creeping into his voice. He looked to Jack, seeking reassurance in the moment of overwhelming uncertainty. "Yes. Some complications could arise, and she'll need to work hard in rehabilitation," the doctor continued. "Physical therapy will be crucial, but I suspect your grandmother is strong enough to meet those challenges head-on." "Grandma always has been strong," Mark whispered, his voice uncharacteristically small, as if he doubted the conviction. Grandma's eyes sparkled briefly at the acknowledgement. She shared them all, her strength, the stories of her youth battling hardships, yet now, lying in bed, would they feel enough of that strength in her vulnerability? "I want to hear everything," Grandma said softly. There was a gentleness that somehow shifted the atmosphere in the room. "Tell me what is going on with all of you. We can face it together." Jack glanced at his siblings, sensing that moment teetering on a precipice. Lisa finally broke the silence. "When you were in surgery, we started talking. We've held on to things for too long. It's not just about you anymore, Grandma. It's about all of us and what has been happening. Things aren't okay, Grandma, Sam added, his voice breaking slightly. We've been fighting, drifting apart. It's like we forgot how to be a family. The room fell silent. Each sibling felt the weight of those words. Jack bit his lip, his own frustrations bubbling just beneath the surface. Everything they hadn't said echoed in the quiet. Doctor Matthews watched, keenly aware of the emotional current, and then gently interjected, "This is a pivotal moment for your family. Being honest about feelings and struggles can be part of the healing process. Embrace that. Can we?" Lisa's voice was barely a whisper, but it held the hope of 1,000 words left unsaid. "We have to," Jack replied, a sense of determination igniting a fire within him. "We can't keep waiting for the perfect time. This is real, and it's all in front of us, right here and now." Grandma stirred slightly, her eyes scanning the room filled with uncertainty. She reached for Jack's hand again and held it tightly. "I don't want my illness to be another thing that divides us. We need to open up, let the love in." The depth of her words struck at the core of their hearts. Jack felt a surge of emotion, a bittersweet sting, as the enormity of what she said washed over him. Could they really lay bare their truths, confront the unspoken burdens they carried? Lowering his voice, Jack finally said, "Then let's start. Let's turn this moment into something stronger than fear. For Grandma." He looked at each sibling. "For us." Just as the resolve began to swell, the moment fractured again. A familiar beeping from the machine startled them. Nurses rushed in, voices raised, and suddenly the peaceful atmosphere shifted. "Grandma's vitals are dropping." One yelled, and a wave of panic rippled through the room. Jack's heart raced. As the urgency unfolded, all they had just resolved to discuss, the raw honesty, feels like it would slip away from them all over again. Would they find the strength to face these challenges as a family now? Or would they be caught back in the cycle of silence and fear? As the medical team worked swiftly around Grandma, Jack gripped her hand tighter, wishing that this journey would lead to healing, but knowing that they all had to confront the deepest truths soon or risk losing everything. The room was a flurry of activity, clinical and chaotic. Jack felt like he was watching a scene unfold in slow motion. Nurses called out orders, monitors beeped relentlessly, and the sterile scent of antiseptic mixed with the rising tension. His grip on Grandma's hand tightened, more out of fear than comfort. Each new sound, each frantic movement made him feel powerless. "Someone, do something!" Jack found himself shouting, but it was drowned in the clamor. The sight of Grandma's pale face made his heart sink. Sam moved closer, desperation etched across his features. "What's happening to her?" He looked at the nurse, pleading for answers, but she was too busy assessing the situation, unaware of the family unraveling beside her. Doctor Matthews worked methodically, calling for additional help and adjusting a few settings on a machine that whirred ominously. "We need to stabilize her vitals. You all need to remain calm so we can do our job effectively." His voice was steady, but Jack could see the tension behind his eyes. Lisa pulled in a breath, trying to steady herself. "She's going to be okay," she murmured, more to convince herself than anyone else. Mark stood rigid, a pillar of quiet strength that felt more like stone than support. Jack's mind raced. What if this was it? What if they never got the chance to confront all those buried arguments and unspoken words? What if they lost her before they found their way back to one another? "Grandma," he pleaded softly, turning his gaze to her. "Stay with us. Just hold on a little longer." He wished she could hear him, could understand how desperately they needed her. Time stretched on, and just when Jack felt his resolve wavering, a sudden stillness enveloped the room. The chaos subsided a bit as the medical team shifted gears, working as a synchronized unit. Jack's heart fluttered with a glimmer of hope. Maybe they could pull her back. At last, Dr. Matthews turned to them, a mix of relief and exhaustion on his face. "We've stabilized her for now, he stated, his tone cautious but reassuring. However, there are no guarantees. Your grandmother will need constant monitoring, and the next 24 hours are critical. You should prepare yourselves, we might need to talk about her advanced care options soon. The weight of his words sank like a stone in Jack's stomach. Advanced care options. It felt too clinical, too cold for the woman who meant everything to them. Jack nodded, acknowledging the truth while struggling to hold on to the sparks of hope igniting within him. They had to keep believing she would fight, she was a fighter. But the reality of what they might have to face began to loom larger. As nurses adjusted the monitors, Jack took a step back, letting his siblings gather closer around Grandma. He needed a moment to breathe, to gather himself. Jack, we can't just leave this hanging, Lisa said suddenly, pushing against the fear that threatened to pull them apart again. We have to talk. Even if she's not awake, she needs to know that we are here as a family. Sam nodded, determination replacing the earlier panic in his eyes. We need to get it all out, Jack. Even if it's hard. Especially if it's hard. Mark remained silent, but the silent agreement in his eyes spoke volumes. They had all been holding back for too long, and now felt like the moment for honesty, even if Grandma wasn't awake to hear it yet. Jack looked at them, breathless. What if she wakes up and we're still stuck in our old patterns? What if she needs to hear that we love each other, and how much we need her? His heart ached at the thought of Grandma overhearing things she might never have wanted to know, the ugly cracks in their family. We start now, Lisa insisted, her resolve palpable. Just like we should be done all those years ago. We owe it to her to be real. Fine, Jack said, heart racing as he realized the truth. Let us do this. Let us let it all out. But as the siblings gathered in a huddle, ready to bleed their hearts, a sudden rattle echoed through the room. The monitors flared with urgency once again, and chaos rippled like a dark wave. Jack felt his breath hitch in his throat. Not again. He gasped, staring in horror as the medical staff surged in once more. Would they truly find a way to unearth their buried feelings, or would Grandma's health be another barrier dividing them? The room erupted in a cacophony of voices as the medical staff surged around Grandma's bed. Jack stood frozen, his heart thudding painfully against his ribcage. What is happening? He croaked, his voice a whisper lost in the urgency of the moment. Dr. Matthews barked orders to the nurses, the tension palpable. The rhythm of the monitors changed, the beeping transforming into a haunting alarm. Jack's stomach twisted in knots. This felt like a nightmare he couldn't wake from. Jack, let us step back, Lisa urged, her hands trembling slightly. But he couldn't. His feet felt glued to the floor, chained by fear. The sight of Grandma, so fragile, sent waves of panic crashing over him. The team worked feverishly, their movements precise yet frantic. Jack caught a glimpse of Grandma's face, sunken and pale, and he felt the tears prick at the corners of his eyes. No, please, he whispered, clutching her hand tighter. You're stronger than this. You have to fight. A nurse glanced in his direction, her expression softening for just a moment. We're doing everything we can, she assured him before turning back to her duties. Minutes passed like hours. Jack could barely breathe, the air thick with anxiety. Sam paced beside him, running his hands through his hair. What if we lose her? He muttered, the raw fear in his voice haunting. We won. Jack shot back, the sudden burst of anger surprising even himself. She needs us. She can't leave us now. Out of the corner of his eye, he spotted Mark standing at a distance, his jaw set, watching the chaos unfold. The usually stoic brother looked like a dam about to break. Jack felt the urge to go to him but couldn't tear his gaze away from their grandmother. Then, as if time had finally reintegrated itself, a nurse stood back and turned to Dr. Matthews. We're ready for the next step. Okay, the doctor replied, his voice steady. We're going to need to administer medication for stabilization again. He turned, addressing the family, and Jack felt the world narrow around them, their collective gaze hanging on his every word. "She is still critical, but we might have a window to speak with her if she stabilizes." Just then, Grandma's eyes fluttered open slightly, a flicker of recognition clouded by disorientation. "Jack." She croaked, the faintest smile trying to fight through her pain. "Yeah, Grandma. It's me," he exclaimed, his heart swelling. Were you all here?" Her voice was a whisper, barely audible. "Yes, always," Lisa chimed in, stepping closer. "We're all here. We love you, Grandma." "But," her brow furrowed in confusion, "all those years, we never talked." The words trembled gently, a delicate dance between her consciousness and unconsciousness. Jack felt the ground shift beneath him. This was it. The moment they had put off for far too long. He glanced at his siblings, each of them grappling with the weight of their own unspoken truths. Did they dare to unleash their feelings now, when Grandma needed them to be strong? "I'll start," he whispered, the urgency unfurling in his chest like an open wound. "I'm sorry, Grandma. I've held back so much, and Jack," she said softly, her eyes searching his. "It's never too late." He felt the urge to draw back, to keep the walls up, but as he looked into her eyes, filled with love and a flicker of hope, he couldn't. "Fine," he choked out as tears blurred his vision. "Let us do it now, all of us." But the stillness shattered again. The monitors screamed back to life, a chorus of alarms filling the air, pulling Grandma's attention away. The medical team rushed back, leaving Jack and his siblings teetering on the edge of revelation. "Not now," he pleaded silently, desperation flooding him. As the staff swarmed again, Jack's heart raced. Would they ever have the chance to clear the air as a family? Or would the chaos of the present swallow their moment of truth whole? The cacophony fell away, as if the world outside faded into silence. Jack was enveloped in a fog of panic and dread. His heart pounded wildly against his chest, while Grandma's eyes slipped closed again, leaving just the sound of the machines beeping dismally. "Stay with us, Grandma. Just hold on." Jack felt his voice cracking, raw edges tearing at his throat. In that charged silence, time slowed. The nurses and doctors moved like shadows around him, fighting against the very air. But Jack was anchored to the spot, fighting his own turbulent emotions. A whirlwind of unresolved feelings surged within him: love, fear, betrayal. "Jack," Mark's voice broke through the chaos, grounding him. "We need to step back, give them space." "No." Jack nearly shouted. "We can't leave her. She needs to know we're here." Just then, a deep breath escaped his lips, and he met his brother's determined gaze, both bewildered and steadfast. "She fought so hard to keep this family together, we owe it to her." Mark nodded, urging everyone to stand their ground. Moments passed, and the storm of urgency began to recede, leaving the faintest glimmer of hope hanging in the air. When the nurses finally stepped back, they offered a small constellation of cautious smiles, just enough to let them know Grandma was still here, still fighting, and perhaps still listening. Jack felt the room exhale. "Let us take this chance," Sam said, his voice barely above a whisper, the sting of vulnerability in the air. "We can't let fear chain us anymore." "Grandma," Lisa stepped forward, her hands trembling, yet her resolve firm. "We every one of us have so much to share. It's time we open our hearts." Jack inhaled deeply, feeling his heartbeat sink with the oxygen around him. "We've held back for too long for you, for us." Each word felt like a prayer, rising to the surface in desperate urgency. Grandma's eyes fluttered open again, a soft smile attempting to break free from the pain that shadowed her features. "My loves, don't be afraid, Grandma," Jack said, leaning closer. "I know it's been hard for all of us, especially after losing Mom. We can't let past hurts keep us apart. I'm sorry for not speaking up sooner." Tears gathered in her eyes, reflecting a mixture of relief and grief. "I've felt that distance. I've always wanted our family to be whole again." Sam stepped forward then, his breath catching. I didn't mean to leave. I thought I was protecting you, but all I did was run. You could have stayed, Sam, Jack urged, heart bearing the heft of old wounds. We needed you. I've needed you. Lisa's voice chimed in, filled with resolve. I did wrong too. I thought I was making things easier when all I did was blindside you, Jack. You deserved better. The atmosphere shifted, a bridge being built across the chasm. Jack felt a warmth spreading through him, breaking the winter chill that had settled over their hearts for so long. Let us not let this chance slip away, Mark pleaded, looking from one family member to another. It's in these moments we're fragile but also strong. We owe each other honesty. When did we stop being real? At that moment, something shifted in the room. Jack felt the years of hurt and misunderstanding dissipate like morning fog, revealing the light ahead. Grandma, we promised to lean into our hurt, to be open. We want to heal together. Together, Grandma whispered, the word wrapping around them like a warm embrace. As they each took turns sharing their burdens, the atmosphere grew infinitely lighter. They began to peel away layers of pain and loss, doubts and fears, embracing honesty like a long-lost friend returned home. With every confession, every tear shed, they stitched the frayed threads of their family back together. When Grandma's face lit up with each passing word, it reassured them life exists not in absence but in the layers they create through connection. Jack felt a huge weight lift with every revelation. They were confronting the ghosts of yesterday, but they were also claiming a future built more firmly on love and trust. Hours slipped away, yet hope surged in every heartbeat, flooding the room like sunlight pouring through a window. After what felt both like a lifetime and just a moment, they all grew silent. Jack's heart swelled with an indescribable feeling of unity, a family, finally being a family again. Suddenly, the doctor stepped back in. How is she doing? Jack realized Grandma was still with them, her warmth palpable, her presence commanding, even in delicate condition. She is more alive than ever, he asserted, unwavering. Doctor Matthews nodded, a smile breaking through his previously serious demeanor. That's great to hear. She'll be a fighter, and so will all of you. As Jack sat back, he took a deep breath, feeling an overwhelming wave of gratitude wash over him. They had turned the tide, not just for Grandma, but for themselves. A promise of tomorrow shimmered brightly before them. All right, family, Grandma said softly, squeezing Jack's hand. Promise me, no more secrets. As they all nodded solemnly, Jack knew this was a renewal, a collective choice to heal. They chose transparency and love, and amidst the life-changing storm, they emerged stronger than ever, and just like that, Jack found it within him to forgive. Now, if you felt the power of this story and connection, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait another second. Hit that bell to turn on all notifications, be part of something special. Also, leave a like immediately to feed the algorithm, to help us grow. We want to hear from you too, so comment below with how this ending made you feel. Share this video with at least 5 friends. Don't hoard this transformation, spread the love. This is the moment to show your support to our channel.